So deferred care, you might delay. Oh, thanks, Jackie, for hitting record. So the rates are going down 10% on the PPO as a result of the savings to the plan for 2020 and 2021 during the COVID pandemic. Deferred and foregone care basically consists of, if you had a shoulder surgery, you put it off. If you needed preventive care, unfortunately, you put that off. And if you would have gone to the emergency room for a sprained ankle, that's foregone care. That's not going to actually happen later. So there was quite a bit less claims than anticipated, but we're starting to see it pick back up. And, you know, historically over time, rates always go up year after year with a few exceptions, but generally, you know, premiums go up. For the last, we had 3 years in a row with no rate increase, which was fantastic. Last year, we reduced rates 5%, and this year we're reducing rates 10%. Now, that's not because we expect the cost of care to go down 10% from baseline pre-COVID. It's because we're returning premiums to members that were over collected in the last couple of years. If you're in our property and liability programs, you're probably familiar with those big refund checks that come back if there is funds over collected. So, you know, they have the big Ed McMahon checks that are kind of fun if your refund is really big. We can't do that in employee benefits just because of complications, requirements to return a portion of the refund to your employees if they had payroll deductions, all of that. So what we do is we take those funds and going forward, we reduce the premiums or we keep them flat. And so that's what we're seeing here in the PPO this year. Do anticipate that the premiums will need to come back up, and we'll try not to make it happen too fast, but we are making, the executive committee gave a substantial rate increase to go ahead and return premiums to members. We also figured this is a good time because times are tough economically. So it'll be a nice padding to your budget, not to have so much in the premiums. The PPO is the most populous plan. We have about 75% of our Anthem enrollees in the PPO plan. It's also the only self-funded medical plan. So what that means is the HMOs, Anthem and Kaiser HMO, those are what we would consider a pass-through. The premium is what it is, and we pay that premium over to Anthem or Kaiser. They were not affected the same way during the pandemic because the way that HMOs work is there's something called capitation, and that's what each doctor receives for each participant that's assigned to them every month, whether or not the participant seeks care. That's the whole model of an HMO. Every month, the doctor gets a set amount, whether or not you go in. So all of the foregone care or deferred care that affected the PPO, which is a fee-for-service plan, there are no claims, then you don't pay for them. That didn't have the same effect on the HMOs. So you'll see that Anthem HMO has a plus 5.5% and Kaiser has a plus 0.9%. And the Kaiser one varies this year. That's because we are going to be applying the incentive rate discount to the Kaiser plans, just like it applies to the Anthem, PPO, and HMO plans. And Jackie will talk a little bit more about that later, but that's why you see those two percentages. Plus 2.8% is for the standard folks, and minus 1.3% is for the incentive rate folks. Kaiser Senior Advantage, mostly due to a Medicare change, Medicare drives their rate substantially, is a negative 11.1%. And UHC Medicare Advantage PPO is a positive 3.1%. And if you caught it last year, what we anticipated was the same rate for the first 2 years for Medicare Advantage PPO. And that was because it was a 2-year contract that we initially started with United Healthcare. However, we received feedback from some retirees that they were not happy with the $500 allowance for hearing aids. So we looked into, it was higher than that for PPO and lower than that for HMO. So we chose a number in the middle at the $500 allowance. They were not real happy with that. So we went to United Healthcare and got an estimate to go ahead and increase that. And so to increase the hearing aid allowance to $2,500. That resulted in the increase of 3.1%. So the Employee Benefits Committee and the Executive Committee kind of weren't quite sure which way to go with that, but they decided that enough retirees would really benefit from this, that it would be a good idea to go ahead and proceed with enhancing that hearing aid benefit. So that's the long backstory to the plus 3.1% on the UHC plan. Dental and vision continue to perform well. Those plans haven't had an increase in quite some time, despite the fact that we've been enhancing the vision benefits bit by bit. We went self-funded in 2015 for the vision plans and have had a little extra change ever since. And so we've been kind of getting back to flat by adding enhancements to the vision plan. We added some last year, and you'll hear about one this year. The Employee Assistance Program, that's through Anthem, goes up 4.2%. Mind you, that's just, I think it's 10 cents. Life insurance is a little bit all over the place this year because of the way that Standard reduced the life rates. So it's always a reduction, so that's a good thing. Some of the rates go down 10%, some of them just go down a few percent. It's all tiered if you're familiar with your life rates. They're age banded. So, different age, 30 to 34, 35 to 39, all of that. So when you're talking about a small amount per thousand and you're rounding to the penny on 6 cents, the percent doesn't always end up to be the same across the board. But it's up to 10%, and that was for life. The AD&D did not go down, and the rate is combined life and AD&D. So long story short, just use the flat dollar amount rates that are in the renewal, and it's, I would say, 3 to 10% reduction. Short-term disability had no change. That's the one that gets used the most: pregnancies, broken legs, things like that. Long-term disability went down 10%. We've had good utilization and usage numbers in that plan over time. So that's it from top to bottom for our 2023 rates that we are expecting for 2023. And if you have any questions about those, you can feel free to type them into the chat, and I'm going to turn it over to Jackie.
All right, thanks, Sandra. And I just want to let you know, Sandra, I have zero visibility into the chat, so it is all on you.
I got it.
Awesome. Okay, I'm trying now to, sorry. Well, I can't get there we go. Sorry about that. Definitely technological issues today with my PowerPoint. So as Sandra mentioned, we are extremely excited that we have been able to add a few really great programs to our Anthem PPO plans, which of course include the consumer-driven health plan. So those are the things that I'm going to go over first. I am going to reiterate multiple times during these slides that it is for Anthem PPO and Anthem CDHP members. I'm going to do that because I want to make sure that that gets stuck in your head. This is not going to be for Anthem, HMO, or Kaiser HMO or CDHP members. Okay, so starting out, the first one that we are extremely excited about is Progeny. Progeny is our new fertility and family building benefit. This is a benefit that offers comprehensive coverage for infertility and family building. It has amazing concierge level support and access to a premier network of fertility specialists. These were all things that when we went out to look at different vendors for this benefit, that we wanted to make sure that we could offer our agencies and their employees. So Progeny provides its infertility benefit through something that they call a smart cycle. A smart cycle is basically a fertility treatment bundle. And then the next couple of slides, I'm going to sort of show you a visual of what that looks like. So smart cycles can be used for in vitro fertilization, IUI, which is also called artificial insemination. It can be used for fertility preservation, which are things like egg freezing and sperm freezing. It can be used for donor egg and donor sperm purchases, for embryo transfer, etc. There is a host of treatment processes, procedures that Smart Cycles can be used for. Employees get up to 2 Smart Cycles per lifetime. And again, we'll talk about what that sort of looks like in the next couple of slides. On top of the fertility benefit, Progyny also provides 3 different reimbursement programs. The first is adoption. Employees can have an up to $20,000 reimbursement for adoption per lifetime, $20,000 for surrogacy per lifetime, and then we also have a $1,000 per child doula benefit. If you've never heard of a doula before, a doula is a very special caregiver that helps pregnant women who are in pregnancy or in childbirth or even postpartum, help them with that process of going through childbirth and having a baby. Okay, so moving on to a little bit of an example of how these Smart Cycles work. So this slide just kind of gives you an idea of some of the treatment bundles that are available. For example, this says IVF freeze-all cycle. That's in vitro fertilization where the embryos are being frozen. And you see that large list underneath that heading. Those are all of the processes, procedures that go into that IVF freeze-all that would be covered as part of the Smart Cycle. This slide gives a visual representation of what a Smart Cycle looks like and kind of shows you the certain treatment or services and how they're valued as part of a Smart Cycle. So for example, if you wanted to do something like artificial insemination using donor sperm, that would be 1/4 of a Smart Cycle for the purchase of the donor sperm, and then 1/4 of a Smart Cycle for the actual artificial insemination. That's 1/2 of a Smart Cycle. So an employee, as we mentioned, gets up to 2 Smart Cycles per lifetime. So obviously that process does not begin to reach up to that full 2 Smart Cycles. There are other ways to combine Smart Cycles. If you're doing an IVF freeze-all, that is actually 3/4 of a Smart Cycle. And then another 1/4 of a Smart Cycle would be used to do the frozen embryo transfer. So this is probably super confusing to everyone. I totally understand that, especially if you're not used to all of the fertility jargon. We have a really great resource on the ACWA JPIA benefits website under the medical tab, under the Progyny section, and it's called the Member Guide. Highly recommend that you pull that down and take a look at that and even share that with an employee that has questions, because it is extremely detailed and goes into how this benefit works and how all of the different pieces work together. The important part about Progyny is they can just make that phone call to Progyny, and that patient care advocate or PCA will help them navigate this process. So that's really important to remember. So we know that this benefit is going to create a lot of questions for your employees. And so we worked it out with Progyny, where we are going to have those phone lines open on October the 3rd. The phone number is here. So again, if you have employees that come to you with questions, please encourage them to call the Progyny phone number starting October 3rd. We also would really appreciate it if you would distribute the flyers that were included in the benefits renewal packet that Sandra sent out, and the video. The video is actually linked onto this presentation. So if you have the handout that Sandra sent this morning, you're going to have this video link. Recommend that you send that out as well to employees, and it gives a really great overview of the program. So moving on to our next new benefit. Well, maybe before I go on to this benefit, I'm going to ask Sandra, because Sandra, is there anything I missed that I should say about Progyny?
No, I mean, you did a great job. I think the slide with all of the different portions of procedures just kind of communicates how difficult it is to get into the one before this, get into the details with participants. And so The key is really just to direct them towards that 800 number, and they'll be able to answer all of their questions because everybody's situation is really different. The video is cute and it's only a minute and a half, but just know that that phone number is not live till October 3rd.
Thanks, Sandra. And again, on our ACWA JPI website, under benefits, under the medical tab, under progeny, there is a huge amount of resources, more flyers, the member guide that I mentioned, the video is linked there as well. So if you're really hankering for more information on this, that's a great place to go. Okay, the next new benefit that we are introducing this year, and again, it's for our Anthem PPO and CDHP participants who are age 18 and over. This is Hinge Health, and it's our new virtual physical therapy benefit program. The great news about this is there is no cost for participants to use this program, including those on the CDHP. There's no need for them to have to meet that minimum deductible on this Hinge Health program, so it is free for them. If you have employees that you know that just have not been able to make it to physical therapy, they're in acute or they have acute or chronic musculoskeletal pain, but for whatever reason, they don't have time during the workday to go for physical therapy. Maybe they're super busy at home after work, they just can't make it. This is the perfect benefit for those employees. This benefit, once they get signed up with Hinge Health, they will tailor an exercise therapy program based on that employee's condition for them to be able to do from the comfort of their own home using their tablet or their smartphone. It also provides them with support from a personal care team, a health coach, and or a physical therapist that will help walk them through the exercises. And it will all be based on their particular condition. Also, depending on their pain areas in the program that they're on, they might receive 2 or 3 wearable motion sensors that they can put on that will allow them to see themselves doing the exercises on their smartphone or on their tablet to make sure that they're doing the correct range of motion, doing the correct motion, and that if their health coach is on with them, it will allow the health coach to also monitor that they're doing the exercises correctly and give them corrections if they're not doing them right. Employees can learn more about this program right now. It's available starting January 1st, but we have actually set up a co-branded ACWA JPIA Hinge Health website. If you click on that QR code or scan that QR code, it will take you to that co-branded website. They are allowing people to do what they call the wait list. It's not really a wait list. What it is it's a reminder email. So if they click on the waitlist button, they fill out a little form, and then January 1st, they'll get an email from Hinge Health reminding them, hey, this benefit is now available. Log in, register, log in, and send us this questionnaire, and we'll get you started. So more information about Hinge Health is also available on our ACWA JPIA benefits website under Hinge Health on the medical tab. Okay, our next 2 benefits that I'm going to go over are both through CAREM. And you might remember CAREM is our voluntary orthopedic surgery benefit, the benefit where you can get a knee replacement or ankle surgery or a hip replacement or whatever at no cost through CAREM Centers of Excellence. Well, CAREM has expanded into oncology care, and we're very excited about this. Everyone probably has someone in their life who has suffered through cancer, and it is a very scary time. The first new benefit that I want to talk about is the breast cancer treatment bundle through CAREM. Now, this is for first-time non-metastatic breast cancer, and it provides comprehensive cancer treatment for up to 2 years through City of Hope. Now, City of Hope is located in Southern California. And so for an employee to be eligible to use this particular benefit, they must live within 60 miles of a City of Hope facility in Southern California. If you don't know where the City of Hope facilities are in Southern California, they're actually kind of clustered around Pasadena, which is in far east LA County. so up towards the mountain area. But so that is who can use this benefit. There is zero out-of-pocket cost for the Carum breast cancer treatment bundle for eligible patients. If an employee or a patient is on the CDHP plan, then Carum and Anthem will work together to make sure that that minimum deductible is satisfied so that the patient can maintain their HSA eligibility. The second Carum oncology benefit that we're adding is called Carum Oncology Guidance. And again, if you have someone in your life that has been diagnosed with cancer, you know that when they get that diagnosis, they are probably scared and have a ton of questions. And that's where this guidance program really comes in. So it is through, again, it's for Anthem PPO and CDHP members, and it is through Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, which is based in New York, and also City of Hope. It's called Access Hope, though, here in California. So this is a virtual program. The people that are on this program don't actually go physically to Memorial Sloan Kettering or physically to Access Hope. These are our virtual services. So basically, it offers treatment plan development. It offers guidance and support to members with an initial cancer diagnosis, and it offers that support and guidance for up to 2 years. So how does it basically work? Well, let's say an employee gets a cancer diagnosis. They will enroll online. It's voluntary, but they can enroll online with Carum Oncology Guidance. They'll be assigned a dedicated patient care specialist, and that specialist will help them access oncologists at Memorial Sloan Kettering or Access Hope, depending on which COE is chosen. And then that oncologist or that team of oncologists will offer them a second opinion to make sure that that initial diagnosis was correct, and they will help them develop the most appropriate treatment plan for that particular type of cancer. Their patient care specialist, which is assigned to them, can also provide recommendations for a local oncologist. Sometimes when you're first diagnosed with cancer, you might be working with an oncologist and maybe things just aren't really clicking with that person. Carum Cancer Guidance, Oncology Guidance can help refer you to other local oncologists. And then while you're undergoing treatment, Carum is there to help connect you to an oncology nurse if you're suffering from symptoms from treatment, or if you need to talk to an oncology specialist for a virtual consult regarding the treatment that you're getting. The most important thing about this virtual benefit is there is mental health support available, and it's not only for the patient going through the treatment, it's also for their family members. So again, this program doesn't require any out-of-pocket medical costs for a patient. It does not require, it doesn't even require an out-of-pocket cost for the CDH plan participant. So they don't have to worry about that CDHP deductible. They can use this guidance program and not have to worry about that deductible. Okay. So the next benefit that this is not a new benefit, but we wanted to remind everyone to please promote modern health to your employees. And this is a benefit that is available for all medically enrolled employees and their eligible dependents. It doesn't matter if they're in Anthem or in Kaiser, they are able to use this benefit. And it now also includes pre-Medicare retirees. So as a reminder, Modern Health is a mental wellness platform, and it provides support to participants for whatever life is throwing at them, whatever challenge is happening either at work or at home. The benefit is completely free and confidential. Participants who use it can get up to 8 coaching and up to 8 therapy sessions per calendar year. They are certified mental health coaches and licensed clinical therapists that are on board with Modern Health. Employees can also access unlimited group support sessions, which are called circles, as well as meditations and other in-app resources that are available on the Modern Health app. They have a wealth of resources that a lot of people haven't even tapped into yet. So we really would like you guys to promote this benefit if you can. The QR code on the screen does link to the Modern Health website. In order for employees or their employees to use the benefit, they do need to register using the company code ACWA JPIA. So if anyone is having trouble, registering on the site, please let us know. We can help them figure out why they're not able to get in. Incentive rates. Well, I think that Sandra actually went over this already, but I'm going to quickly go through it. As you know, we've expanded our incentive rate program to include the Kaiser plans. If you are already in the incentive rate program and you are already offering Kaiser, this is automatic. There's nothing you need to do. You will automatically get that 4% discount, and that will be extended to your Kaiser plans. The incentive rate program, if you don't know, it's a program for agencies that are meeting additional participation requirements that are a little bit stricter, and that helps promote the health of our medical pool. Some of those additional requirements are that you have to have 100% employee enrollment in medical for benefits eligible employees. They need to be all enrolled in medical. You can't have a cash in lieu program. And as the employer, you must fund at least 50% of the cost for dependent coverage, and at least 50% of the retiree only cost if you cover retirees. Not everyone covers retirees. Our next enhancement, and Sandra actually mentioned this as well, we have enhanced the vision plan again, and we noticed that the progressive lenses, which are extremely popular, were pretty expensive. So they're currently running between $80 and $160 on our current plans, depending on whether they're premium progressives or custom progressives. So what we've done is we've lowered that cost. So now it's just a $25 copay for premium or custom progressives. You might remember a couple of years ago, we enhanced the plan so that standard progressive lenses are covered, are zero cost. But what we found out was that most people don't like the standard progressives. They're always getting the premium and customs. So that's why we've lowered the cost of this benefit for employees. And UHC Medicare Advantage PPO enhancement is where we've increased the hearing aid allowance. As Sandra mentioned, it went from a $500 allowance to $2,500. Keep in mind that anyone on the Medicare Advantage plan who wants to get hearing aids under the plan under the UHC Medicare Advantage plan, who wants to get hearing aids under the plan, has to use the UHC network to get those hearing aids. And that network does have really deep discounts. So the hope is that with that $2,500 allowance, they'll be able to get pretty much exactly what they want at this point, now that we've increased the allowance. Okay, moving on to open enrollment announcements. October 3rd and through November 10th is the open enrollment period that we're going to have this year. We do recommend that agencies select 2 weeks within that period and not use the entire amount of time to run their open enrollment. Doing it just 2 weeks is a lot easier on you that we found, and so that's why we recommend that. For more information on how to have a successful open enrollment, please review the open enrollment to-do list. Sandra sent out all that information when she sent out the renewal packet, but I do have links on the next slide. Please remember to distribute the required notice and include in that distribution any retirees or COBRA participants that you might have. Let your employees know that this is their once per year chance to make benefit changes unless they have a qualifying event. And please don't forget to approve any changes that you might get in bSwift. And this slide shows all of the resources and provides all of the links for having a successful open enrollment. It includes links to our employee benefits page, as well as the employer resources page on the ACWA JPIA website. It includes the link to the open enrollment to-do list, as well as the annual notices, the benefit renewal packet, the bSwift guides, and the enrollment change form. We would like to ask you, please share the two videos, the Progeny video and the Hinge Health video. Either share them or show them to your employees. And also we have a couple of refresher videos, one with Modern Health and as well as the Carum surgery benefit video. So if you haven't provided information or talked to your employees about those two plans in a while, these two videos would be great to share. And that is all I have. So I'm going to ask Sandra to jump in and make sure that I did not miss anything important. And I will be glad to go back to any slide that we need to revisit.
Sure. So I've been wondering the questions as they've come along, and the second to last one, I'll just read it out, was to confirm Progeny, Hinge Health, Carum breast cancer treatment, and Carum oncology guidance. Kudos for getting all of those names exactly correct. Are for the Anthem PPO plans only. That is correct. They're not part of the Anthem HMO or Kaiser plans. Part of the reason is the self-funded plans are highly customizable. So those are benefits that are being plugged in as part of the Anthem PPO plan design, which includes the consumer-driven health plan. That's considered a PPO. So just know whenever we say PPO, that includes CDHP. The next question, before I go to the next question, I just want to add that we find it really exciting when we can offer a new benefit that really benefits participants and it costs little to nothing or saves money. That's the best of both worlds, right? And so the Hinge Health enhancement, people are going to physical therapy one way or the other. So that's kind of a wash, but it can also reduce the need for surgery, and musculoskeletal is pretty high on our list of costs for the plan. So if there's a reduction in surgery, it's not only good for dollars and cents, but it's also great for the employee not to have to suffer through a surgery if they could just get better with physical therapy instead. There's also a pain management aspect of Hinge Health, and anything we can possibly do to reduce dependence on opioids, we are all game for that. So that's something for the Hinge Health. And then Carum's oncology treatment bundle for breast cancer. A treatment bundle is usually a little less costly than paying fee for service, where you have a line item for a toothbrush and a line item for gauze and all of that stuff. So that there will probably be some savings there, if not a wash. So two of those benefits, it's either a wash or it saves money. So that's really exciting when we can find benefits like that to offer. So I just wanted to throw that out there while we're talking about pricing. The next question is about the 4% incentive for Kaiser. Incentive rate rules are the same for Kaiser and Anthem. The incentive rate rules have always applied to how you administer your plan as a whole. So for example, 100% employee enrollment means nobody waives. And that used to be that somebody's enrolled in either Anthem or Kaiser. It basically just means no waivers. Think of it that way. So that requirement is unchanged. It's just the premium for Kaiser is now being discounted. It doesn't matter if employees are enrolled in Anthem or Kaiser. So I hope that answers that question. And then the next question is hearing aid coverage with Anthem PPO. Anthem PPO already has hearing aid coverage. It's the United Healthcare plan that added the hearing aid where it was enhanced from 500 to 2,500. The coverage on classic PPO and Advantage as well is 80% for hearing aid. That coverage is 80% for hearing aids. And then of course, don't forget the max out of pocket for the plan. So if they're going to hit that, it ends up being a little more than 80% coverage, depending on where they are in the year for that. And the hearing aid benefit with VSP, I'm going to punt that one over to you, Jackie.
What was the question?
It's True Hearing with VSP. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, True Hearing. So in fact, we just did a mailing, or True Hearing just did a mailing on our behalf. So you may have seen that come in your mailbox. So anyone who is in the VSP, one of our VSP plans, has access to True Hearing. True Hearing is a discount hearing aid outfit. So it's not hearing aid insurance, but it does allow folks to get access to really good hearing aids at a lower discounted rate. And the really neat thing about True Hearing is you can actually extend that to your parents or your grandparents or your brother. So they don't have to be on an ACWA JPIA VSP plan to take advantage of the True Hearing discount. You can just give them the flyer and they can call and make an appointment and get an audiology, appointment, and then get hearing aids through True Hearing. So it's a discount program. And so it is not part of the medical benefit. It's an add-on to our VSP vision plan. Hopefully that answers the question.
There's one thing that we forgot to put in here that's kind of a big deal, Jackie, and that is, and I'll take responsibility for that.
No worries.
And that is the ability for folks to enroll in a Kaiser Direct plan once they leave ACWA JPIA's plan. So this will only work out if the person is 65 or older when they retire, because Kaiser Senior Advantage is for those who are enrolled in Medicare. But only about half of our water agencies offer retiree health benefits. So it could be for folks who work for those agencies who are retiring and are age 65 or above, or it could be for one of your employees who didn't yet qualify for retiree health benefits and is going to be out on their own to figure out their health benefits. So what Kaiser did is they're allowing our members to have their employees who are retiring, who are 65 or over, enroll kind of affiliated with the ACWA JPIA plans under our umbrella as far as the plan design, but it's completely self-pay by the retiree direct to Kaiser. So we hand them off to Kaiser, and Kaiser bills them, collects the payment, maintains their enrollment records, and they become kind of invisible to us, but they're getting the benefit of having our plan design and our pricing, which is better than you can get as an individual. For example, individual plans, they always have that donut hole, which is the period of substantially reduced coverage for prescriptions that can be really costly. And there's just no way of getting around that if you have an individual plan. Group plans can, I say, fill the donut hole. And so that's been done on our Kaiser Senior Advantage plan. So anybody who is taking us up on the offer of going to, it's called a Kaiser Senior Advantage Direct plan, they can do that. And so just let us know if you have somebody who is going to be retiring or terminating, whatever you want to call it, who's 65 or over and would like to enroll in that Kaiser plan. And I see a question, can an employee enroll in vision at any time or only at open enrollment? So all employees should be enrolled in your vision plan. That's a requirement, is that all the employees are enrolled. If you have somebody who's not enrolled in vision who is eligible to be, please contact us, benefits@acwajpia.com, and we'll get that remedied for you. What we'll do if we find somebody who's not enrolled is enroll them retro to the first of the year. So we put them on 1/1/2022. I see another question. Can we get that option with United Healthcare? Oh, a direct bill plan? No, they do not have that option for us. It was just Kaiser. That would be nice though. When we were looking at that plan design, our broker and I were saying that we want that plan. No copays, PPO network, that includes almost everybody. Agencies not in Southern California facing cancer can use, I think that probably should say cannot use Karen because City of Hope is not an option. That's correct. Unfortunately, for cancer treatment, you return to the hospital or outpatient center for services over and over again. So it doesn't make sense for somebody to be traveling a long distance repeatedly for those services. So that's why it's limited to people who are within about an hour of a City of Hope facility. They're hoping to expand oncology offerings. This is kind of new to Karam and something they've been working on for quite some time. It's something difficult to negotiate with the hospitals, and they're only approaching the very top hospitals in the United States for this. And one thing I've said I love about Karam is, if you just completely forget the whole pricing aspect of it, getting your care for $0, it's a referral service to some of the best surgeons available. And when you get referred for surgery, it's so difficult to know who's a good surgeon or who's available to you and all of that. And Curium just gives you this concierge experience for shoulder or knee, but now it's also going to be for cancer, and that we hope that they'll expand that. But to have somebody tell you who the best is that you can go to is just priceless in itself. And Jackie mentioned different parts of the concierge experience for anybody with cancer. So the oncology guidance, there's 2 different types of cancer treatment available through Curium. One is treatment, and that's breast cancer, Southern California. And the other one is oncology guidance. And that's for any of our participants in the PPO and CDHP plans who are diagnosed with any kind of cancer, except for non-melanoma skin cancer. And as soon as they're diagnosed with cancer, they get paired up with that oncology nurse who can really just be their guide and answer the many questions that they'll have as soon as they get that diagnosis. So I think that's a really invaluable part of that benefit, to have a guide and somebody who is well-versed in cancer. They all are in oncology certified to be your one-on-one person that you talk to throughout that scary journey. All right, I kind of got carried away with that answer. Let's see what we have here. Yes, we will be sending out a recording. If an employee is staying with the same plan, do they need to confirm and be SWIFT? No, they do not. Remind people that they might want to take a look at their beneficiaries. If you have life insurance in there, that's always a good idea. Also, something that they would need to take action on if they weren't making any changes is if they're in the high deductible plan, they would need to make a new HSA election for the year if they're contributing. Are there any plans to include dental coverage with United Healthcare? No, that's something that is only on the plans in the individual market. It's not something that we're looking at doing with the group health plans. We got that question a lot at first because the commercials on TV include the dental coverage. How much activity does ACWA JPIA have in the Curium health plans? Not enough. It's one of those things where, you heard Jackie asking, please promote this to your employees about modern health and about Curium, which we've had in effect. And we'd like to see more utilization in both programs. But the tough thing is, unless you know that we have that benefit right when you need it, right care at the right time, then people don't utilize the coverage. So we really rely on you folks to make sure your employees are aware of that Curium benefit and modern health, and now Progeny and Hinshaw. For retirees who plan to move out of state, what program is available for them? That's the PPO is always the out of state benefit. So if they're pre-65, that'd be Anthem PPO. And if they're over 65, then it would be United Healthcare PPO. The HMOs don't work out of state except for emergency coverage. Can I explain the reason for the decrease in the PPO? Again, missed that part. Well, that was kind of a long explanation, but I'll try to summarize it, which was claims were quite a bit lower in the last couple of years due to people not going to the doctor for voluntary surgeries like a shoulder replacement or something like that, or for sprained ankles, or for preventive care, unfortunately, which is causing things to get discovered later when the treatment has to be a little bit more intense. So there were quite a bit of funds that were collected that were not used on the PPO plan, which is a fee-for-service plan. If they don't go to the doctor, there are no claims. So the executive committee decided to be aggressive with the rates for 2023 to return a fair amount of those funds to the members. That's a pretty substantial decrease. So we cannot write checks in the employee benefits program to return the funds to members like they can in the property and liability programs, because it's just too complicated. You'd have to give a portion of that back to your employees. if they paid a portion for benefits, and then it's like, for what period of time? For the 2-year period? Did they have a family status change? Did they term? Were they a new hire? It's just kind of a whole ball of wax. So what we do instead is we reduce premiums in future years. So this is a way to give back funds to members. And so with all of that being said, it's wise to expect the premiums to have to come back up. And we are seeing bounce back in claims from, in a post-COVID world, we're seeing those claims come back. So it's just a way to refund some money. And I see another, I see to jumping around with the new questions. Would progeny apply to the employee or their dependent spouse? Anybody who's enrolled. So if the registered domestic partner or spouse is enrolled in the plan, then it would apply to them.
And I should have clarified that when we were talking about progeny. I had a note to mention that. So it is for your covered employees and their covered spouses or registered domestic partners. If the treatment needs to be on the spouse and not the employee, the spouse is going to need to be covered on the medical plan in order for them to be eligible for that progeny, for the treatment under progeny. So keep that in mind. And it is also not available to adult dependent children. So if you've got a dependent child under the age of 26 that is having a fertility problem of some kind, they are not eligible for fertility treatment under progeny.
Thank you, Jackie, for pointing that out.
No problem.
I am, okay, so for Hinge Health, who would be eligible family members? Again, that would be anybody who's enrolled on the plan, and as Jackie said, over age 18. So that one can include overage dependents and of course spouses and registered domestic partners. And then I see a concern from Donna. There's two things, and I would be very happy to address this. It's good to put those concerns out there. So the concern is about Karam being being contracted with the out-of-town providers. So like I was saying about getting their referrals to the world-class surgeons, some people are perfectly fine to travel if it means that they're going to get to have surgery from the best and the best. And even before we had Karam, people would travel from all over to California to, say, Stanford or something for medical treatment. So you never know what their position is going to be, or if it's something that they're going to be open to. The cost of their travel is covered for themselves and an adult companion. As you said, a portion of that is taxable. I don't know the numbers right off the top of my head unless you do, Jackie. The IRS only lets us reimburse a certain amount before it becomes taxable.
I do not have those numbers either.
Okay. There's a certain amount for the travel, like the plane ticket if necessary, and also for the hotel room and meals. So there is a little bit of tax that the employee would have to pay, but they're not paying anything for the medical service whatsoever. No deductible, no copays, all of that, unless they're on CDHP, and they have to make up a little bit of deductible if they're not quite there yet. So I mean, I don't know if you were able to participate in the Karam webinar where we had one of our plan participants talk about her shoulder surgery that she had at Cravetti, which is it Nevada, Jackie?
Yeah, it's Nevada.
Yeah. So there were actually two people who had that same procedure at that same location. And she was saying she felt like she was treated like royalty, and she couldn't believe the concierge experience, and the place was amazing, and she was so happy with her surgery, and she had to travel. So you just never know, but that is a legitimate concern for some folks who aren't going to want to travel. Understandable.
And I will point out that Karam has modified somewhat to try to make it so that there is as little travel as possible. because I think that they also want to make sure that the treatments that are being offered are as close to the patient's home as possible. And they will, depending on where an employee lives, if they're not really, really close to an eligible center of excellence, a Carum Center of Excellence for that particular surgery, that would not be available to them. So they really do take a look at that.
I have a direct message saying that somebody had a hard time getting a hold of anyone at Carum. If you're ever having a problem like that, send us an email and we'll connect. We'll connect them. I had one person who did have a similar experience. So just email their name and phone number, benefits@ACWAJPIA.com, and we'll make sure that somebody reaches out to them from Carum. I think they have had a little bit of sporadic issues with that, which is unfortunate. But once you get connected with somebody, you get assigned a specific representative who holds your hand throughout the whole process. So please send us an email so we can make sure that person gets the services they need. And then Jackie, the next one is for you. Can you talk about the 2 smart cycles, please?
The smart cycles. So that is Progeny speak for their fertility treatment bundle. The smart cycles are really going to, it's sort of an overarching concept, and you use up portions of smart cycles depending upon what exactly you're having done. So I'm going to move back to that visual that might be more helpful. Well, let's do this one first. So for example, if someone is having fertility problems, they go to Progeny, they get to their fertility doctor with Progeny, and discover that the best option for them to have a baby is to do in vitro fertilization. And they call it freeze-all, which means the embryos are frozen and then they are implanted. And by the way, Progeny works very, very hard to do single embryo transfer rather than multiple embryo transfer. And that is really helpful to avoid having a multiple birth. But anyway, the IVF freeze-all, you can tell it has all of these different procedures that are part of that process, part of that treatment. So when you look at the smart cycle, you can see that the second one in there on the top, an IVF freeze-all would take up 3/4 of a smart cycle. Well, you get 2 smart cycles. So doing an IVF freeze-all would take 3/4 of that smart cycle. And then to do a frozen embryo transfer, because remember, if you're doing an IVF freeze-all, part of the doing that is to get the embryos, then you would use another 1/4 of a smart cycle to do that transfer. So that would be 1 smart cycle, and you get 2 per lifetime. So again, it's all pretty complicated and technical, and further questions on that, I would probably want to refer you to Progeny when that phone line opens on October 3rd, or take a look at that member guide that is posted on our website. That really does go quite a bit into detail on all of these procedures. I hope that helped.
I think the egg freezing benefit is a really cool one too, especially for recruiting. Just altogether, this is a great benefit for recruiting. You might want to put this on your recruitment flyers, because this is not a widespread benefit yet. It's really growing, but it's great for recruitment. And I feel like that specific benefit is great for ladies entering the workforce and who are wanting to wait a little bit before building a family. So that's a neat aspect of it as well. And just to double confirm one thing that Jackie said, and that was about the doula benefit of up to $1,000 reimbursement. That's available for anybody on any of the PPO plans, regardless of whether they use Progeny for fertility benefits, etc. So that could potentially be a popular benefit with employees and spouses. That's all I see for the questions. We'll give it another minute to see if anything else comes in.
Okay. I'm going to move us back to the end slide so people have our email address. And also, if there are any questions after this, I'm more than happy to answer questions. You guys can email me at jrech@ACWAJPIA.com. I'm sure Sandra wouldn't mind also getting emails if you've got questions. So we are available if anything bubbles up after we end the presentation.
Absolutely. Well, that chat box is remained frozen for a little bit, so we'll let you all guys get back to the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.